In today's news, mold and allergies identified as significant school grounds issue. Badmindedness, Fraser on criticism to humane investments. Heightened seismic activity near territory. Not many locals interested in media jobs, says Premier. And Health Minister Marlon Penn speaks on social issues. Well, viewers, these are more stories when 284 News return.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Hun, it's asking for your password.
Huh?
You were logged out. I need the password.
B-R...
What's the rest?
B-R-A-N-D-I, the number 4, E-V-E-R?
Who's Brandy?
We're like the password that isn't your ex-girlfriend's name. CG Insurance. Good like that.
I should have changed it.
You should have.
You're right. That's out.
That's 6.
That's out.
With worldwide medical coverage and affordable premiums, we're like a home match that isn't played at your actual home. CG Insurance. Good like that.
My turn. Oh, come on, guys.
Well, welcome viewers to the Monday, January 9th edition of 284 News. I am Kamal Haynes, bringing you the latest out of the British Virgin Islands. While leading today's news, the issues of mold and allergen presence were highlighted as matters impacting the environment in the BVI student population, which is made to attend on a daily instruction, where discussions took place before the Standing Finance Committee recently. One more in this report.
During deliberations with the Standing Finance Committee, Junior Minister for Trade, Economic Development, Agriculture and Fisheries, Honorable Shireen D. Flax-Charles, voiced serious concerns surrounding the health of the territory's public school populations, particularly as it relates to the presence of mold and the handling of potentially deadly allergens within the school environment. Flax-Charles said that, at heart, the onus of the issue lied on the health and environment in which students in the British Virgin Islands are made to attend school. While the dangers of mold are well known in the territory, she suggested that greater concern should be dealt to the presence of allergens in the school environment. She said that as more students and staff are being diagnosed with deadly allergies, she has become aware that some schools throughout the world have made decisions to rid the school environment of well-known allergens such as peanuts, and added that she thinks that certain things need to be done in the BVI in that regard. She has suggested that a legislative or policy approach should be taken to proactively address the situation, including possibly requiring that children with allergies be made to carry an EpiPen. Acknowledging the receipt of significant reports of mold in schools, Minister for Education Honorable Shireen De Castro said that one of the underlying issues is that the Ministry of Education is made to spend significant funds to remedy the recurring mold growth, while the source of the problem, which is leakages in the roof or other water entry, is not being addressed. She revealed, however, that efforts are being made to address this. In a previous school term, she noted 3 schools were identified and works were done to seal their roofs. She added that the ministry is seeking to do the same in other schools that have been identified as having mold issues. Minister for Natural Resources and Labour Honorable Melvin Turnbull briefly spoke on the issue as he commended Minister De Castro, her permanent secretary, the Deputy Chief Education Officer, and all other involved personnel for taking a head-on approach to dealing with mold in schools, because it is an issue very hazardous to human health. For 284 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
Moving on, viewers, whereas he reflected on the various government initiatives that were absent in the 2022 holiday season, including community-level Christmas parties for the less fortunate and general street cleaning and beautification exercises in some areas, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Julian Fraser, took some time to issue a message to persons within the population who have criticized such initiatives as a waste of government money, particularly those who themselves have had their lives touched by direct government funding at some point.
I know there are those out there who are saying wasting government money. You didn't know we were wasting government money when you took the scholarship to go to school. Now that you got the scholarship and educated, you're coming back running your mouth. I want to line them up. Line up. Are you educated? Got a college education? Yes. How did you pay for it? Blah, 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 yeah. Scholarship. You got a scholarship, but you don't want anyone else to get anything else. When your parents got ill and had to go travel overseas, and government paid for it, you're going to run your mouth now.
Well, Fraser went on to share his views on various discussions which would have occurred at the community level as it relates to how the government should have responded to disagreements with property owners.
Selfishness, bad-mindedness. They said bad-mindedness is next to witchcraft. It's the same thing with the Ellis Thomas Downs where people are talking about compulsory acquisition. Bad-mindedness. It's next to witchcraft. That's why I will fight to the death. We have to keep land taxes down. We have to keep them low. And they're being kept low for a reason. They're not being kept low because government is stupid or afraid to collect taxes. They're being kept low for a reason. You cannot divorce a virgin islander from his land. If you do that, that's wickedness. It's bad-mindedness. That land was inherited. An inheritance is something you don't play with.
Well, Fraser added that these were sentiments that he hoped to root in the minds of the upcoming generation of parliamentary leaders so they understand that leading a country is about the people.
I'm saying this for the benefit of the younger generation in this house, so that they could understand when they get these legislation before them and they see them, they would know how they got there and why they're there. Don't just see dollars, because if you see dollars and you follow those dollars, you wouldn't miss the time when someone else would walk in and walk away with everything, because you would not have the dollars. You have people. You need to protect people.
The U.S. Geological Survey has reported heightened seismic activity near the Virgin Islands, with this past Sunday being a particularly active day in that regard. But Jacka Wedding explores those updates.
Within 48 hours of the time of reporting, 5 notable seismic events within close proximity to the territory were recorded by the United States Geological Survey. Things began in the wee hours of Sunday morning at 2:59 a.m. with an earthquake which registered 4.2 on the Richter scale, 80 km away from Tortola. This was the largest earthquake recorded in the observed period. Less than 2 hours later, at 4:46 a.m., a 3.3 magnitude earthquake was recorded 77 km away from Tortola. This was followed shortly afterwards at 4:58 a.m. by a 3.4 magnitude earthquake just 54 kilometers away from Tortola. The final Sunday morning event was a 2.9 magnitude earthquake at 5:25 a.m. at a distance of 81 km from Tortola. While things quieted down throughout the duration of the day, activity picked up again on Monday morning at 8:46 a.m. near that same area with a 3.2 magnitude earthquake. These tremors culminated a week of activity in that area, totaling 9 recorded earthquakes of similar magnitude in just 7 days. Jacka Wedding, 284 News.
Well, up next, not many locals interested in media jobs, says Premier, and Health Minister Marlon Penn speaks on social services. But these are more stories after a word from our sponsors.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes,
Good
Sonny.
morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut fun people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man forget you.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power? Freeze. Choose your mix, choose your flavor.
There are many ways to enjoy life. Like so many ways to count on Popular.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome back, viewers. Not many locals are interested in jobs within the media industry. Well, this is according to a claim made by Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Willie at a recent press conference in his response to several allegations raised against himself by local media personality Cindy Rosanna. Well, during the questions and answers segment of the press conference, the Premier was questioned on the recent hiring of 3 individuals who, according to Rosanna, are all now employed by the government. But 2 of the individuals she listed were formerly employed as journalists at 2 separate private media companies within the last year. Rosanna queried as to why locals were overlooked for the positions, as she claimed that the process utilized to hire the individuals was unlawful. Well, she said that her attempts to gain further information from several departments and offices on the job descriptions and hiring processes were unsuccessful. Well, Chief Information Officer Desiree Smith confirmed that several job vacancy notices were issued in 2022 for the positions that are now occupied by at least 2 of the 3 persons Rosanna listed, while Premier Wheatley added that in some instances, locals are just not interested in the positions being offered in the media industry.
As you know, the labor laws show preference for belongers. But of course, you have many instances in which jobs are advertised, and for whatever reason, belongers do not apply, or perhaps those are areas where belongers may not have necessarily have an interest. But of course, I'm sitting next to the Minister of Education, and I know that we as a government have a very robust program for ensuring that Virgin Islanders are trained and oriented to areas where perhaps maybe in the past they have not been. I think in the space, and I think perhaps the Chief Information Officer might even be better placed to speak about this. For whatever reason, we haven't had many belongers show interest in the area of media.
The Premier listed low salary wages as one of the reasons why locals are not as interested in certain jobs. He said a salary review for public officers in technical fields is a must, as they are often greatly devalued.
In some instances, we have the issue of salary. Some persons perhaps maybe don't think the salary is enough. And not the Chief Information Officer would agree with me when I say we have to review what we pay persons who do technical areas. The technical areas are greatly devalued in government, and I'm hopeful that the salary review that Cabinet has commissioned will correct what is really, in my view, an injustice. Persons who do technical things, they should be valued for being technicians and being specialists in their fields, and perhaps maybe a better rate of pay would allow persons to make choices to serve in particular areas as opposed to others.
Premier Wheatley said his government is doing their best to introduce systems to get more persons interested in the fields that they need to be filled.
I think we have to work our best to ensure that our persons who pass through our education system, that they show interest in these areas because there are opportunities. I know Chief Information Officer can tell us about the many opportunities that exist within this particular space. And I'll support whatever efforts I can to get persons interested in these areas. But not just these areas. There are a number of other areas in the Virgin Islands where persons who are not being employed, they can focus their attentions by getting trained in these particular areas, which a lot of them are technical in nature. It's not a lack of competence, it's not a lack of potential. It's mainly orienting them to these particular areas for them to see the opportunities in these particular areas and to apply to these areas.
Well, moving on, viewers, where during a recent interview, Health Minister and District 8 Representative Honorable Marlon Penn was a guest on Umoja Talk Show and spoke especially about social services, where there have been a number of areas recently brought to the public's attention, such as prison facilities and funding cuts, which affect the function and rehabilitation of inmates. Well, Penn in the interview sought to address a number of these areas. Well, he first began with clarifying the role of the social development and the role of partnership among the community and non-profit organizations.
There's a misconception in terms of what social development is doing. In fact, Anguilla, they're doing quite a lot in terms of the same type of program that you speak about. But I think it has to go back to more of a partnership now. In terms, there's a lot of NGOs currently doing a lot of the work that falls under the remit of social development. So it makes no sense that you reinvent the wheel. I remember not too long ago, I was part of a very successful program that was done through social development. It was the Big Brother, Big Sister program that we were able to mentor a group of young men and women, many of whom I see today in society who have become very productive young men and women in our society. These are persons who are, as you said, were falling through the cracks and just need a little bit of guidance, a little bit of counseling, a little bit of somebody who's there to support them in their transition. And I saw that program to be very successful. Many persons.
Minister Penn also addressed the issue of funding and the budgetary process.
And there's also some that goes specific, and I will intend to, in this debate coming up tomorrow and Wednesday, to really dive into the budgetary issues, not just into my particular area. I did so last budget debate as well, where I really homed in on the social services. I did that because we've been hit with a trifecta of disasters that has created a social service nightmare for us as a country. We had the storms and floods of 2017, Hurricanes Irma and Maria, and the flood prior to that in August. We had the COVID-19 pandemic that in itself created a social services issue, where persons are out of work, unemployed, unable to generate revenue for their families. So there was a humanitarian issue in terms of providing food, basic services for the families or for family network. And that persisted into now even going into the inflationary issues that we're faced with as a country. That is a direct result of the war in Ukraine and then the other larger economies that are suffering because of that, and that passes on to us because of by sole virtue that we import more than 90-something% of everything that we consume. So it means it's going to impact us as well in terms of the fuel prices that has an impact on electricity and so forth. So all of those areas have serious implications for us from a social services point of view. And
among many of his concerns on high priority is finding solutions to the number of issues facing social services.
But more specifically, I've expressed and expounded on ways that we could fix it. And the reality is that these things happen over time. I think you have to find, and you have to have a plan. I think the plan that we outlined in 2015 is still relevant today. I think if we had kept on that track, we'd have been well on our way to start to change out just the culture and just our way of how we do things in the country, the way we operate. You look at some of our public facilities that have excess bills, excess of millions of dollars because of the level of consumption. That money, if it's invested the right way, could reduce that bill to almost 50 to 60% over the next 3 to 5 years. So this is the type of thinking that we have to look at, and just don't look at the upfront cost and upfront expense, but look at it from a long-term perspective. And you have to gradually move in that direction because there's a lot of other things that are competing for public resources.
But while there are protocols, the access to funding within social services remains a complaint for residents. Penn also addressed this issue, stating that protocols and evaluations are important
in terms of the knowledge of what is available to persons in the territory. And in one of the areas I've discussed with the Permanent Secretary and the Chief Social Development Officer, which I have a meeting this afternoon actually after this, to really discuss how can we raise more awareness and ensure that persons who are in need understand what is available to them and do more outreach. We can't just wait on an application to come into the department. We have to be on the ground, we have to be in the communities, know where the hot spots are, where persons are having difficulties with their families, which families are now being evicted from their homes and could have a social crisis within the community, to be able to reach out to those individuals. And some of the areas where the department now, through the public assistance policy and act that was enacted actually under NDP administration, where we offer, they have temporary housing assistance to persons. There's special needs assistance for persons who have special needs. You have social assistance like a monthly stipend for individuals who might need financial help. If a person might have issues with paying their daycare, you make assistance to give persons to pay their daycares, persons who are.
Well, up next, Antigua and Barbuda eliminates work permit for CARICOM and D.R. nationals, and Royal Navy executes successful rescue near Anguilla. For these stories, and 284 News return.
Yo, everything good there?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, I can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What do you really? Hey, this ain't like you, know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome back, viewers, and thank you so much for sticking with us. Well, Antigua and Barbuda has eliminated work permit requirements for CARICOM and Dominican Republic nationals, a move that some believe to be a last-minute effort to capitalize on the votes of naturalized citizens ahead of an impending general election. Or more in this report.
The government of Antigua and Barbuda has announced the decision to eliminate the requirement for work permits for nationals of CARICOM member states and nationals of the Dominican Republic. According to a press release, the government decided to move forward with the measure after finding it to be consistent with Antigua and Barbuda's obligations to the CARICOM Treaty. The decision to include nationals of the Dominican Republic was, according to the press release, in keeping with Antigua and Barbuda's commitment to the economic integration of the Caribbean region. The new measure impacts persons who are gainfully employed in Antigua and Barbuda effective January 1st, 2023. This, combined with a previous government decision to waive all unpaid work permit fees that were due up to December 31st, 2022, means that all CARICOM nationals and Dominican Republic nationals who are currently gainfully employed in Antigua and Barbuda will not be required to pay for a work permit. The announcement has come in the height of an election cycle and has sparked accusations from the opposition that the government has stolen its idea in an effort to capitalize on naturalized voters. The idea spoken of was presented as a publicly stated campaign promise made by United Progressive Party leader Harold Lovell during his New Year's message. Lovell has since stated that he was gratified to see that the Gaston Brown-led Labour Party government adopted another of the UPP's plans. Thousands of naturalized voters, many of which will be impacted by the new policy, will join the wider electorate on a journey to the polls on January 18th. For 284 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
Moving on to our final story, where the British Royal Navy recently completed a successful rescue mission in Caribbean waters, saving 5 crew members of an ocean-going tugboat after their vessel started to sink. But the mission executed by the team on board HMS Medway, the Navy's permanent presence in the region, was reportedly part of the first patrol of the year. The Royal Navy's statement on the incident said that the crew had to be rescued after the engines on their vessels failed, leaving them to seek refuge on the barge, but not before sending out a SOS signal, which was sighted off the island of St. Martin, near to the British overseas territory of Anguilla. But at the time of noticing the SOS, HMS Medway and its crew of 50 were about a dozen miles away and quickly responded with the assistance of the Regional Maritime Rescue Coordination Team. But although the crew members rescued off the barge were not injured, the rescuing crew described them as noticeably shaken by the incident and relieved to have been rescued. But the rescued crew were subsequently handed over to search and rescue responders from Anguilla and taken back to the territory for further assistance. But Executive Officer of the HMS Medway, Lieutenant Commander Carla Higgins, credited the entire crew for leaping into action for an effective response and a successful rescue. Viewers, that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at twit4media.com and like us on Facebook at twit4media and twit4bvi on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Kamal Haynes, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. Bye-bye.
Introducing a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons. I'm taking you outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVI's the best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Virgin Gorda to Joss Van Dyke, not forgetting Antigua. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing. We are the movers and shakers of this generation. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman. Season 4 by yours truly, Ron Grant. Raising a generation of greatness. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on 284 Media.